The online presence now for younger creative people coming up is amazing. You can get your work out there now. My name's Luke Preece. I'm an illustrator, worked in the games industry for many years. Although I was working in like a creative environment, I don't think I was really like 100% happy with what I was doing. I started to kind of get onto this whole like gig poster scene, all those kind of like metal bands that I listened to back in the 90s. Metallica, Pantera, Megadeth, Slayer. But then I loved all the art that went with that. I'd never thought at the time that that's a job. Somehow landed work with Metallica. Years of War, Alien Earth, back to the beginning with Black Sabbath. I live just outside Birmingham. I'm a huge Black Sabbath fan. To be part of that was like a huge honour.
The clients and the projects that you've worked on, insane.
It wasn't always like this, it's been a lot of ups and downs. 1 in 10 people might go, do you know what, I'm going to take a chance and give you a job. And then you do a really good job and then it just leads on to more work. Be excited and enthusiastic, I guess, about what you're doing. I love what I do.
Hey Luke.
How you doing?
Oh, we're good, man. Nice to meet you, Luke.
And you?
If you could just give us an introduction, Luke, that would be amazing, man.
Hi, my name's Luke Preece. I'm an illustrator based in the West Midlands, UK. Worked in the games industry for many years, and now I'm just a full-time illustrator and run my own business, just doing movie posters, gig posters. So yeah, that's me.
Amazing. The list here is insane. So clients like Santa Cruz, projects for Jaws, Dread, bands like, of course, Metallica, Black Sabbath, Sleep Token, all sorts. Like the clients and the projects that you've worked on, insane. But yeah, amazing to have you on the show, Luke.
Thanks for having me.
You're in your garden office, aren't you?
In my shed, yeah.
I got a picture of you here, and you're in the same room, and you're in the corner on a chair.
Yeah, I've got a stand-up desk, but I sometimes get shoulder pain from drawing.
Well, funny you say that, Luke, because our editor, Steve, he's just got a stand-up desk and he's loving it.
In a world where editors sit for hours, one hero rises.
Literally. So Steve, our editor, spends hours editing these amazing episodes. And thanks to FlexiSpot for sending us the E7 Pro standing desk, the desk that transforms his remote editing suite. Assembly, 15 minutes. No sweat. Controls, buttons, 4 presets, and raising it feels oddly satisfying. The E7 Pro holds up to 160 kg, it's got rock solid cable management, and keeps Steve's workspace clean. And for Steve, a tidy workspace is pure happiness. Backed by a 10-year warranty, the E7 Pro is built to endure long days, late nights, and every deadline in between. Elevate your workflow, upgrade your kingdom, check out FlexiSpot. The link is in the description. We don't often talk to like illustrators, but it does tie into, design. It's a massively, a part of the process in film, TV. It all starts with ideas, designs, illustrations, and it goes all the way, to concept. Can you just tell us kind of how you got into illustration? I imagine draw a lot as a kid, all that stuff.
Yeah, it's the same old thing, as a kid. I guess it's like that sort of left side of the brain, that kind of creative side. I was always like making noise with instruments, drawing pictures, played in bands and stuff growing up. Went to art college in Birmingham at Bourneville. I shouldn't say this, but I dropped out. Don't do that, kids. I was skint. I didn't have any money, and if there was a way that I could do art as a job, then that'd be great. And back then, obviously, it was like the internet really wasn't a big thing. This was sort of like, God, when this had been 96, 97, 1996, something like that. Yeah, so I just sort of ended up getting this opportunity working as a junior as a graphic designer for a small design agency. Just okay, I get paid to scan stuff in on a scanner and learning how to use really early versions of Photoshop. So it was oh wow, you can make art on a computer, and this was all mouse clicking. There was no whack-on pens or anything like that then. Whilst doing that, I was kind of playing in bands with friends, just doing gigs around the country, a lot in Birmingham at the time. I played guitar since the age of 11. Just loved it. All those kind of metal bands that I listened to back in the 90s, like Metallica, Pantera, Megadeth, Sepultura, Slayer, Anthrax. But then I loved all the art that went with that, I'd never thought at the time that would be, that's a job. A friend of mine, he had a job at 2000 AD Comics in Oxford, and I was just oh, how's 2000 AD? And he was oh yeah, it's great. And I was I can't believe you work at 2000 AD. I used to love reading that when I was a kid. And he's oh, there's a job going actually. They're looking for a graphic designer. I was okay. So I literally went for the interview on the Monday after that weekend, spoke to Jason Kingsley, who owns Rebellion and owns 2000 AD. I remember him saying in the interview, we had a chat and I said, I'm a graphic designer, here's my portfolio. And he was just like, well, you look like one, so you've got the job. It was like taking the comic art, working with the editor and like compiling it all together into a book and then maybe doing like character logos. So it was more just like layout, like graphic design layout. I was at 2000 AD for about 9 years. So yeah, like almost 10 years. And 2000 AD, it's owned by Rebellion Games. And Rebellion make, I don't know if you know the Sniper Elite video games, if you play video games. So they make those games and like Zombie Army. They also did like Alien versus Predator. 2000 AD was originally like in a separate like little like almost like room. And then the video games were like in another area. About 150 nerds all just like making games. And we were just like in this like broom cupboard at the side, just like, yeah, so it wasn't that glamorous. People think like, oh, 2000 AD, I bet it's awesome. It's like, no, it's just like 5 dudes just like really tired, just sort of trying to like sort of compile all this stuff together.
Yeah.
But they were looking for a GUI artist, someone that could do the UI in the games. So I did that for a few years then. So then I worked on Sniper Elite 3. Working in video games is stressful. That's the one thing I learned, because it's just a lot of people with a lot of opinions, all like pulling each other in different directions. Although I was working in like a creative environment, I don't think I was really like 100% happy with what I was doing. And then I started to kind of get onto this whole like gig poster scene was a thing, but it was just like another little creative outlet for me. And then I'd like speak to other artists that I'd kind of made friends with who were in that scene and just said, well, like, how the fuck do you guys do this? Who are you doing this with? And then they kind of put me in the direction of people, and then just conversations online would start happening. And it wasn't even really about making money. I had a day job, I was making money. It was just like, what could I do on the side that's not working in video games? I think a lot of people kind of think that you just woke up one day and you were just doing all this stuff. It's like 20 odd years of like kind of making mistakes and failing a little bit, and
that just shows the progress, and it's natural in everybody, isn't it? Yeah.
And then it's like Instagram was like starting to become quite a big thing then. Somehow landed work with Metallica. That's kind of where things started to like take off.
Did they approach you, or did they discover you?
It was someone that liked my work. It was like and this guy, shout out to Sean. We've never met. He'd done like sort of, I think like graphic design work with the merchandiser with Metallica. And he's like, dude, I love your stuff. You should totally like do some Metallica stuff. I'll put your portfolio forward. And that was it. We've got this 30th anniversary of And Justice for All coming up, which is like one of my favourite Metallica records. Do you want to do the artwork for it? I was like, yeah. I was also like, shit.
I can't do that, but yeah, I fucking will do it.
I'll do it. And then you start looking at like, you do that thing of like, the imposter syndrome.
Yeah, man.
You're looking at all like other work that's and you're just like, what am I going to do? Anyway, I did this poster. It was the best I could do at the time. I always say that, but it was, that piece of artwork, I kind of went from like here to like.
I was going to say, was that what really kind of skyrocketed it, and it kind of, it's cheesy to say, took off from there? Like,
yeah, that's where people sort of started to pay attention. And I guess like people know me now for the work I did on Back to the Beginning with Black Sabbath. And that was with Sharon and Andy Copping, who put that day on at Villa Park. Honestly, the day, because I went to the show, I was literally like, it was like emotion overload.
I can't imagine that. That's insane.
Yeah.
What was it like from getting that kind of message to do the project to then seeing it at the gig at Villa? Like, that's a journey in itself, right?
I'd met Andy through the work I've done with Sleep Token. He's just a guy that just loves what he does and just happens to be sort of instrumental in like putting these kind of things together. I just said to him, like, if you need an artist for the show, I'd love to donate something. If it can help raise some money and just to be part of it, that'd be cool, because I'm local to Birmingham.
Yeah,
so it makes sense. And like,
makes complete
I've
sense.
I've worked with like pretty much all the bands on the bill. I've worked with Metallica, I've worked with Pantera, I've worked with Ozzy before. So he was like, yeah, let's just submit some art to Sharon. Sent it to her, and then she just came back and said, yeah, I love it, just do it. It then got handed to the merchandiser then, and then they got involved in making it all happen. And I helped align the screen printer. So shout out to Tommy from Prince of Thieves. He did like an amazing print job. And we just did like a very limited run of prints It's my like most sought after print now.
Is it? Bloody hell,
Yeah.
amazing.
And then I just had like all these people going, why didn't you didn't print enough? And it's just like, because I was never really like trying to make money out of it, you know?
Yeah.
So it was just a cool thing to be part of. And now people are just flipping them on eBay for stupid money.
Crazy, man.
This one was extra special because it was like, I live just outside Birmingham. I lived in Birmingham for a long time. I'm a huge Black Sabbath fan. You know, as much as I like, love metal and stuff, it's like, I know people go on about this stuff all the time, but like, you know, it all kind of started in Birmingham, you know, and to be part of that was like a huge honor. You know, it was like, didn't really hit me till the day. And then Ozzy passed away, which was just like really sad. And then we watched the like thing on the BBC. There's a funny scene where Ozzy and Sharon have got my artwork like on the shirt. People were just like, oh shit, that's the shirt I did. So I was like, oh, this one's great. And he's just like, what's that? You know, that doesn't look anything like Villa Park. Which I thought was funny. But then he did say like, you know, oh, it's really good, like great work or whatever. So that was just like Ozzy liked what I did. So that was cool. Outside of the gig poster stuff, you know, I do still dip my toe into like video games. So people know me for like the work I do on Gears of War.
Gears, yeah.
So, and I continue to work with them, and I'm working on the new game at the moment. It's just all bespoke illustration work, so they'll come to me and be like, oh, we want, you know, certain things. But then I also do like a little bit of, because of the graphic design work I've done in the past, I've helped them with like branding guidelines for this new game, like design the logo and all the guideline that they give to outsourcers to like, this is what Gears is. So like, it's got all like, this is how we do skulls, this is how we do the logo, these are the color palettes, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, man. They marry with themselves quite well together, and being an illustrator and graphic designer in that sense, Luke. Talking of skulls, you know, working for metal bands and, you know, heavy metal bands, they crop up quite a lot.
Yeah, it's part of the territory.
What makes an amazing skull design? How have you developed your skull? What's the kind of, you know, signature Luke Preece skull? Because we can talk about skulls for a little bit.
Yeah, because anyone can just draw like a skull. I think people sort of think that I've kind of got a style, I guess, which I probably have, like how I draw things. I guess every artist has their own sort of way of doing something. But all the stuff that I was into growing up was like, it was all the old like Santa Cruz, Jim Phillips artwork, a lot of the old kind of like fantasy artwork, like Michael Whalen. And then like obviously like Pusshead's an obvious one. And 2000 AD as well, you know, Simon Bisley, Mick McMahon, Brian Bolland, Dave Gibbons.
It's a natural thing, and if you're looking at all that stuff and you love it, it's only going to bleed into what you do creatively. It's a natural thing, yeah. I
think it's just sort of in there.
Yeah.
But I guess like I try and do my own spin on it and kind of make it my own. I think I do make it my own. And obviously this stuff kind of evolves as time goes by. It's like anything you do creative, isn't it? You kind of start in one place and then you look back at stuff like 5 years ago and you're like, what the fuck was I thinking?
That was terrible, yeah.
You know, so, and you got to do that, you know, that's the only way you improve.
What's it like drawing endless amounts of skulls, and is it still as fun now designing a fresh skull? Like what's that like?
No, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, sometimes you can get a little bit burnt out on it. I don't know, so like I think when you're creating a piece of artwork, you kind of go through this like weird little journey of like, at the start it's like fear. Like literally as soon as you start like drawing, you're like, this is not going the way I want it to go. The skull thing is just like, I've done it so many times now, it's fine. I just have a way of doing it. But it's sort of everything else around that. But I like those little challenges. You kind of go through this like, yeah, I'm going to fuck this up. Then you'll kind of get to like a halfway point. You're like, I think it's kind of coming together now. This is fine. And then by the end of it, you're like, yeah, I'm really anal when I'm working. I think I'm not kind to myself. I'll spend way too much time on stuff. So when people come to me asking for work, if they haven't worked with me before, they're like, oh yeah, can you guys get this done in a week? I'm like, no.
It's going to take me 3 months.
I need like a minimum like of a month. I need like a week or so to just like sit and think about shit before I even like put a pen to paper kind of thing. Then like do some like rough sketches in my little sketch pad in pencil. Then do like more of like a realized version of that as like a rough. Then I submit that to the client. Then they'll be like, some people are like, I think they think that's like final. I'm like, no, that's not final. That's
They're
like,
like, great, Luke, we'll print it. You're like, hold on,
Yeah.
what the?
No, I'm
It's
like,
literally,
whoa.
I haven't even started yet.
Yeah. So it kind of goes to, but I think a lot of that kind of comes from like working in video games and working with like art directors and stuff. You kind of like you almost like pitching stuff to an art director for them to feed back on it, and then it's like then you do like another pass on that and then reiterate it with changes maybe, and tying everything up. For example, I've just worked on the Alien Earth soundtrack with Fox, which was great, but that was like feedback on that was harsh.
Really? Is that because it's an IP that like it has to look a certain way, but
Yeah.
there's guidelines and there's rules and there's limitations? Like, what's it like to work with a client and you've got to creatively come up with something fresh, unique that's yours, but then live inside the rule, the guidelines of their IP?
I do struggle with kind of movie-based stuff, for example.
Yeah.
So the Alien Earth one, I was working on it whilst the show was happening. So I didn't have like all the reference that I needed, and Fox only sent us like the first 2 episodes, and it's all very focused on the kind of androids. And I don't know if you've watched the show.
I've watched a couple. Steve's watched it all.
It's kind of like, I know like people have like very kind of mixed feelings about it. I kind of love it in some ways and then like didn't like it in some ways. I could see what they were trying to do. But yeah, so you're kind of dealing with that. So you're kind of interpreting things. The one thing they didn't send me at the start was like good reference of the alien. And I'm like, well, if I'm going to do this, I've got to do the fucking alien. Like that's the main, that's what, that's what people watch the show for, because they want to see facehuggers and aliens and stuff. They pushed back basically on a lot of my ideas at the start, because I think the alien in this new show looks a little bit different to how it always looks different, doesn't it? In each movie, the alien looks slightly different, doesn't it? The show started getting popular, and then like all these marketing people, I guess, come in and start having an opinion on what it should be. So kind of halfway through, it just started to like change into, let's just make it this simple thing. So sometimes it can be like, I think it's just like the communication's just a bit like you're going through like a lot of cooks and stuff, like with different opinions, and it's
even the xenomorphs on the call going, that doesn't even look like me.
Yeah.
Anyone else want to get involved?
Yeah. But we've, in the end, it was fine, and people seem to like it. And there's another piece of artwork actually for that soundtrack which hasn't been revealed yet. It's like the inside artwork of the vinyl, and that's actually better than the cover, because it's like I've done a really big picture of the Xeno.
Amazing.
Which they were like, oh, we don't know whether we want to put that on the cover. We wanted to just play it safe on the cover, but just do what you want on the inside kind of thing. Whereas Gig Posters is a lot more freeing.
I hadn't seen this until like a second ago, but it kept coming up on my Instagram sponsored shopping feeds. The Godzilla Santa Cruz collab.
Amazing.
Yeah, so we did this one. It's still actually it's still sealed. So it's
that's insane, man.
So this is a take on an old Santa Cruz design, and then we've just like Godzilla'd it up.
Amazing.
You worked directly with Santa Cruz for that then?
Yeah.
And you still do, don't you, Luke? Do you still do designs?
Yeah. Yeah, like every so often. So there's a guy called Cody who online he goes by the name Pitch Grim. We met at New York Comic Con like years ago. I was a Santa Cruz fan, owned Santa Cruz boards like as a kid, like, when I used to skate and stuff. I don't skate now because I'm old. My legs don't work anymore. I just saw they had a stand at New York Comic Con. I was there with a gallery that I'd done work with. I've got to go and check that out. I just loved the brand. It's like Jim Phillips is like one of my favourite artists. Like, the hand. We all like know the hand. Course, we all love the hand, So I just went over, and it just so happened that the guys that are running the stand are the actual guys that work at Santa Cruz.
Brilliant.
And I just got chatting to them. And then me and Cody kind of like became sort of buddies in a way. Just like we were just into stuff, into similar things. He's a bit younger than me. Every so often they just kind of get in touch and like, Luke, do you want to, like that, this one was like, do you want to do the Godzilla thing? And I was like, yeah, okay. And they got a different artist to do a different take on a classic Santa Cruz design. They send you like samples through afterwards. What did Tyler say? So we send you one to skate, one to sell, and one for your mom. That's what he said. So
brilliant.
So yeah, so I've got like 3 of each, and then like we did that, and then there's that one behind the Jake Wooten one there, which you can see. I don't know if you know like the skater Jake Wooten. He's like one of their newer like skaters, and then the other ones are for Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 remake. That was with Activision, so they asked me to do just some skins to go in game. So like unlockable skate skins for the remake. Man. And then the art director on that game sent me actual physical boards of the boards I designed for the game, just as a thank you. Being like really passionate about some, and it's, again, I sound really cheesy saying this, but I think if you're a little bit of luck, well, actually a lot of luck, but just passion and like being able to like walk the walk as well, like actually do the work. Like I think there's a lot of people that will say, I'm really into this stuff and I can do this work, but then maybe the work's not quite there. I think without sounding like big-headed, I think my work just somehow appeals to people and people like it. And I'm just good at like maybe talking myself into situations. I don't know.
People approach you, obviously, Luke, because they see your work online and they go, oh, you've got to do this. Like, they know your signature style or they know what you're about. So it's almost like sometimes you don't necessarily need to apply for a job as such. Like, come and look at my stuff. If you love it, do you want to work? We can work together. If you don't, then you look for someone else. It's almost like they find you and like that is your CV, that's your portfolio, and that's your...
The online presence now for like younger creative people coming up is amazing. Like, I don't know, like I bet there were like loads of amazing artists out there back in the day, and they just never got to get their work in front of people. But you can get your work out there now. It's like it's a lot easier to do, and just and the other thing is like it's just be approachable, be kind to people, don't be a prick, like don't be arrogant, be excited and enthusiastic, I guess, about what you're doing. And I genuinely am. Like I love what I do. It's like I've done all the shit jobs back in the day. I've done all the bar jobs, the factory jobs. I've like worked on a chicken farm at one point when I was a kid and hated it, collecting fucking eggs. My mum was always very like supportive of my, wanting to be in a band and like wanting to anything creative. She was like definitely like a big part in that, I'd say. She was always just do it. You're going to fail a lot, but just keep doing it. And I do sort of worry about future generations that then maybe they're not so used to failure because it's just this constant like TikTok generation of like praise and then if they get a bit of failure, it's it. I can't do it anymore. It's like, no, you can. That's normal.
Yeah. Or I've only got 100 likes. Like no one likes my work. I'm going to close my account. Goodbye.
Yeah. And it is easy to get sucked into that sort of stuff. You just got to try and ignore it a little bit.
And I think that the universe will open up, like you say. You do what you love. You speak to people. You do this. You do that. You put yourself in the right situations where you can. And I think opportunities. It sounds that people don't believe that stuff, but I believe that the universe opens up doors as you might not know are opening up, but things are moving around you to put you in line with something and another project. So, it's a lot of work, of course.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. It wasn't always like this, it's been a lot of ups and downs. And like I say, like, because you've got that online presence whilst doing that, you can speak to people and you can actually show them your work and you can just chat online about it. And, 1 in 10 people might go, do you know what? I'm going to take a chance and give you a job. And then you do a really good job and then it just leads on to more work.
Absolutely, man. Have you got any advice for people kind of maybe feeling overwhelmed by, there's so much out there, I'm not good enough, imposter syndrome?
I think it comes back to what I was saying earlier. It's just kind of, it doesn't have to be art, like just find your passion, I guess. I do worry sometimes it's like, are people just doing things because they're doing it to feed an algorithm, or is it coming from like a genuine place of creativity?
Yeah, man. Well, it's a vulnerable place, isn't it, to put your work out there, especially for new artists thinking, if I put it out there, it's going to get criticised. It can be a little bit scary and vulnerable. So yeah, it's you definitely got to take criticism. 99% of the comments will be good. You're going to get hate or people saying bad things, but that's just kind of.
Well, I did a thing with Adobe. I went out for like a meal with them, and then they said, "Oh, do you want to do like a online kind of like interview thing on their Adobe channel?" I was like, "Yeah, okay, great, okay, fine." And then like just the people like in the comments were just like, they're just like, "Who's this guy?" And I'm just like, I don't know. It was just really weird. I'm not used to dealing with that kind of like, but I think it's just because it's a big corporation like Adobe. So they just like, people are just hating on the new version of Photoshop. So then they just take it out on me.
Of course, man.
Or just telling me you think something I've done shit, or the band I've worked with is shit or something. I'm just like, block.
What is the point in that comment? I know.
What's the point?
We haven't really touched on your just process, Luke. Like, what's it look like coming up with an idea?
Well, I've got a book here, old school. So I've got this like one of these little things that I just sketch ideas into. And then I work on a Wacom Cintiq. It's literally like basic round brush in Photoshop, like you would ink a piece of comic art,
Yeah.
So it's all done in Photoshop. I've used Clip Studio as well, but I prefer Photoshop. When I used to work in games, all the concept artists used Clip Studio. It's like a sort of manga drawing package.
Okay.
It was designed for like manga artists. That was kind of the purpose. So a lot of concept artists used to use that. But I was just like, now sticking with Photoshop, old school. I know it's like not what Photoshop was designed to do, but it works for me. So
When do you know that it's finished? And can you overwork a piece at a time? Like, when do you call it a day? Like, that's finished now, or does it need one more dot over there?
well, yeah, that's like the whole when is a piece finished. You could just keep going with this stuff. I've got better with that actually. Years ago, I used to just because a lot of my work has a lot of detail in the line work. I used to make sure every bit of the whole piece would be just super detailed. Whereas now I'm like, it doesn't need it. So that's a bit looser, I guess. So I'm a bit better at kind of just being like, it's done now, And also because everything's dictated by whatever the rough is. So the rough gets approved. The rough is almost half finished, if you know what I mean. So all I'm doing at the end is just going over and redoing everything, but better.
Yeah.
So there's something quite, what's the word, cathartic about that.
Like, talk about Photoshop, Luke. Are there any other tools that you see come along as an artist? Because there's so much stuff out there, and they're like, oh, there's this way of doing things, and there's this, and there's that. And that can be overwhelming as well. Do you ever dabble in new ways of doing things, different mediums, or are you very happy with this? I really enjoy Photoshop.
I use Photoshop for all the illustration work, but then I'll also use I do use Illustrator as well for doing vectors, logos and things. And then I do, although I'm not very good at it, I do use Blender.
Oh, brilliant. We love Blender.
Just for white boxing stuff out sometimes. If I've got to draw a scene or something, you can just set stuff up. And because I used to work in video games, we used to white box in Blender before we did concepts. Then I'd just screen grab that, pull into Photoshop, draw over the proportions kind of thing to this kind of like this, then model it like my illustration, if you know what I mean, knowing the proportions were exactly how they wanted it to be in game.
That makes a lot of sense. One of my friends, Col Humphreys, he's a 2D artist. His work's great, but when he discovered what he could do by applying 3D to give him that scale and depth, it really elevated his work in terms of scale, and everything just felt bigger and more accurate.
I don't need anything sophisticated. I'm not going to be a 3D artist ever, but it's sometimes you need it for, I guess a lot of work that I do doesn't really involve a lot of sort of three-dimensional space, I suppose, or landscape stuff. It's normally just kind of I don't know.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean with your.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some stuff I just make it up. I'm I think that's roughly kind of the right angle, and I just kind of make stuff up. But then sometimes it's if you're doing a landscape or something.
It's definitely helpful, especially if there's you want to make it on a wider lens, and what does it look like if you the perspective change? It's a very useful tool. As simple as it needs to be at times, but it definitely can help.
I mean, we used to use Maya at work, and then everyone just moved over to Blender because it was free.
Do you ever switch off, Luke, mentally, or do you ever design things whilst asleep in your head?
Yeah.
And wake up? Yeah.
Yeah. I've spoken about this in other podcasts, actually. People say, where'd you get your ideas from? It's if I'm busy and I can't switch off, you do go to bed at night thinking about work. I always do this thing of I don't look at my phone or anything at night. I read a book, always go to sleep fine. And then you'll wake up middle of the night sometimes and you've had a weird art dream. It's just, you're what the fuck is going on in my head? That happens sometimes.
What do you do to switch off, or hobbies, interests, and outside of the creative world? Is there anything?
Well, I am a nerd, so I like to paint Warhammer sometimes.
Amazing.
Like that, or model, I build scratch, not scratch build, but I paint just models in general, so Warhammer models. So I've got this
Oh, mint.
So that's a buddy of mine 3D printed him for me, and then I painted it.
Oh man.
Hang out with my kids, obviously. My eldest daughter, she rides horses, and so I have to do that. I'm one of those skint horse dads who has to spend loads of money on horse shit. So there's that, and then I love my garden, so I'm well into like mowing my lawn, and it's like really boring.
Nice.
But I love like keeping my grass nice. It's like proper boring. Never thought I'd
That's
say that.
good,
but
man.
like,
I like it. We're
it's
definitely into
opposite of
that.
screens, like anything sort of. That's like I've got a Labrador, so called Ozzy. He's ace.
Amazing.
He's just like super high energy, and I could just like you could just walk with him for like all day if you wanted to.
Less screen, more green.
Yeah, just city living, man. It's just not for me.
Luke, where can people, if they don't already know, where can they find you? Website, socials, any upcoming fun projects to mention, like
LukePreece.com. Priest, Preece, not priest. Some people think I'm like Luke Priest. I'm not a priest.
Luke the Priest. No.
Yeah. Instagram's like my main sort of socials, and Facebook, I guess. So that's just at Luke Preece Art. Yeah, I'm working on Gears of War E-Day. I can say that. I can't tell you what I'm doing because I'm NDA'd up to my balls.
Of course.
And then there's like, there'll always be more Metallica. There's more Metallica that's finished that's coming. I'm talking with Megadeth at the moment about doing some artwork for Megadeth with Dave Mustaine, so that's kind of cool. Oh, American Werewolf in London. That's my latest movie poster, which I can talk about that. So I'll probably have my APs by now, and I'll have APs in my online store.
Brilliant, man. Brilliant.
It's one of my favourite films. I love that movie.
A classic, man. Luke, it's been an absolute pleasure, and honestly, thanks so much for your time.
Of course, mate. It's good.
Yeah, we can't wait to keep looking, at the socials, all the work that you're going to be bringing out. Very excited. So I just want to say thanks for your time, man.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me on. Honestly, I love doing stuff like this. I just love chatting with people about stuff. It's great.
Amazing, Luke. Yeah, thanks again, man. And we'll speak to you very soon, man.
See you later. Bye.